Why do so many married women secretly crave adventures outside their relationships? Is it boredom, loneliness, or something deeper, something ancient that even philosophers like the Stoics warned us about centuries ago? Today, we're diving into the shocking truth behind this question. And you might be surprised by what Stoicism reveals about human nature, relationships, and the choices we make. Stick around because this isn't just about marriage. It's about understanding the core of who we are. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't a video about judging anyone. It's not about pointing fingers or deciding who's right or wrong. This is about understanding. Because here's the thing, when we see someone making a choice we don't understand, like a married woman seeking adventure outside her relationship, our first instinct is to judge. But Stoicism teaches us to pause, to ask, what's really going on here? And more importantly, what can we learn from this? So today, we're going to explore this topic through the lens of Stoic philosophy. We'll look at human nature, the pursuit of happiness, and why, sometimes, even when we have everything we thought we wanted, we still feel like something's missing. Ready? Let's go. The big question, let's start with the obvious question. Why does this happen? Why do some married women, or men for that matter, look for adventures outside their relationships? On the surface, it's easy to say, oh, they're just selfish, or they're bored, or they don't love their partner anymore. But Stoicism pushes us to dig deeper. Because here's the truth, human behavior is rarely that simple. Think about it. When someone chooses to step outside their marriage, it's not just about physical attraction or a fleeting moment of excitement. It's often about something much deeper, a longing for connection, for validation, for freedom or excitement they feel is missing in their lives. And this isn't a modern problem. The Stoics talked about this thousands of years ago. They understood that humans are complex creatures, driven by emotions, desires, and a constant search for meaning. What's really going on? Let's break it down. First, there's the issue of expectations. Many of us enter marriage with the idea that it's going to be a perfect fairy tale relationship. But the reality? Marriage is hard. It's messy. It's full of compromises and sacrifices. Over time, the initial spark can fade. Routine set in. Conversations become predictable. And for some, that can feel suffocating. But here's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics believed that true happiness doesn't come from external things, not from our partners, not from our relationships, not from anything outside of ourselves. True happiness, they said, comes from within, from our ability to control our thoughts, emotions, and reactions to the world around us. So, if that's true, why do so many people still look for happiness outside their relationships? Why do they chase after adventures, even when they know it could destroy everything they've built? That's exactly what we're going to explore next, the Stoic perspective on desire and happiness. 2. The Stoic view on desire. The Stoics believed that most of our problems come from one thing, wanting what we don't have. Think about it. When we're unhappy in a relationship, it's often because we're focused on what's missing. Maybe we feel unappreciated. Maybe we're bored with routine. Or maybe we're craving something new and exciting. But here's the thing. The Stoics would say that this desire for something more, this constant craving, is the root of our suffering. They called this kind of unhealthy longing epimia, desire that never gets satisfied, no matter how much we feed it. Let's take an example. Imagine a woman who's married, but feels unfulfilled. She might begin seeking excitement outside her marriage, maybe through an affair or by chasing new experiences. But here's the problem. Even if she finds what she's looking for, that excitement won't last. It's like pouring water into a leaky bucket. The more she chases, the emptier she feels. The Stoics would argue that the solution isn't to keep chasing more. It's to change how we think about what we already have. They called this mindset ataraxia, inner peace. It's about finding contentment within ourselves, rather than depending on external things to make us happy. 3. Negative visualization. Appreciating what you have. So, how do we actually do that? This is where one of the Stoics' most powerful tools comes in, negative visualization. Now, this might sound depressing, but it's incredibly effective. Negative visualization is the practice of imagining losing the things you currently have.
Why?
Because it helps you appreciate them more deeply. Let's say you're in a relationship and feeling bored or unappreciated. Instead of obsessing over what's missing, try this. Imagine your partner is gone. Imagine waking up one day and they're no longer there. How would you feel? What would you miss about them? This exercise isn't meant to be morbid. It's about shifting your perspective. When we take something for granted, we stop appreciating it. But when we imagine losing it, we're reminded of its true value. There's a great example of this from the life of Seneca, the Roman philosopher. Despite being one of the wealthiest men in Rome, Seneca practiced negative visualization every day. He would imagine losing his wealth, his status, even his family. And by doing so, he learned to be grateful for what he had, rather than constantly chasing more. So if you're feeling unfulfilled in your relationship, try this. Imagine your partner is gone. What would you miss? What would you regret not saying or doing? Sometimes, the key to happiness isn't getting more. It's appreciating what you already have point for. The role of external validation. Now, let's talk about something else that drives many people to seek adventures outside their relationships. The need for external validation. Here's the truth. We all want to feel valued. We want to feel seen, appreciated, and desired. And when we don't get that in our relationships, it's tempting to look for it elsewhere. But here's the problem. Relying on external validation is like building your house on sand. It's unstable, because no matter how much praise or attention you get, it's never enough. You'll always want more. The Stoics had a word for this kind of mindful awareness: prosoke. They believed that true self-worth must come from within. It's about knowing your own value, regardless of what others think. Imagine a woman who's married, but feels invisible. Her husband no longer compliments her. She starts to feel like she's lost her spark. And so, she begins seeking attention from other men. 3. The trap of external validation. She flirts at work. She joins a dating app. And for a while, it feels good. She feels seen, desired again. But here's the truth. That feeling won't last. Because deep down, she's still searching for someone else to validate her. And until she learns to validate herself, she'll always be chasing that feeling. So how do we break this cycle? 4. Self-discipline and the power of choice. One of the core principles of Stoicism is self-discipline. The Stoics believe that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. And that's where our true power lies. Let's go back to our example. Imagine a woman who's tempted to seek adventure outside her marriage. She feels lonely, unappreciated, bored. Then she meets someone who makes her feel alive again. At that moment, she has a choice. She can give in to her desires, or she can pause and ask herself, is this really what I want? Or am I just trying to fill a void? This is where Stoic self-discipline comes in. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about recognizing your impulses and choosing not to let them control you. Make choices based on your values, not your emotions. For example, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus was born a slave, yet became one of the most respected teachers of his time.
How?
By mastering self-discipline. He believed true freedom doesn't come from changing your circumstances, but from mastering your own mind. So if you're feeling tempted to look for happiness outside your relationship, ask yourself, what's really driving this desire? Is it validation? Fear of missing out? Loneliness? Then choose based on what you truly value, not just what feels good in the moment. 5. Society's pressure and false fantasies. Now, let's talk about something that makes all this even harder. Modern society. We live in a world that constantly tells us to want more money, more success, more excitement. And relationships are no exception. We're bombarded with images of perfect couples, fairy tale romances, and exotic adventures. And when our real lives don't match, it's easy to feel like we're missing out. But here's what the Stoics would say. This is all an illusion. They called it fantasia, false impressions. It's the idea that we're constantly tricked by how things appear. Take social media, for example. We scroll through carefully curated highlight reels. We see smiling couples on vacation, candlelit dinners, grand romantic gestures. And we start to wonder, why isn't my relationship like that? But what we're seeing isn't real. It's staged, edited, filtered. The Stoics would say, stop comparing. Start reflecting. Focus on your own life, your own values, your own relationship. Don't let society dictate your happiness. Take a lesson from Marcus Aurelius. Every night, he wrote in his journal, reflecting on his actions, his choices, and his values. That's how he stayed grounded, despite being the most powerful man in the world. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by society's expectations, ask yourself, what do I really want? Not what society says I should want, but what truly matters to me. Then build your life around that. 6. Amor fati. The power of embracing your fate now. Let's end with one of the most beautiful ideas in Stoicism, amor fati, love your fate. It's the idea that instead of resisting what happens to us, we embrace it. Instead of wishing things were different, we accept them. Go back to our example. A woman feels unhappy in her marriage. She's tempted to look elsewhere for fulfillment, but instead, she chooses to embrace her situation. She says, this is my life. This is my marriage. And instead of running from it, I'm going to make the most of it. Now, this doesn't mean staying in a toxic or abusive relationship, but it does mean taking responsibility for your own happiness. It means finding joy in the present moment, not chasing a fantasy of something better. There's a powerful story about the philosopher Zeno. He was a wealthy merchant until he lost everything in a shipwreck. Instead of despairing, he said, "Fortune has done me a favor. Now I can focus on philosophy." And that loss led him to become the founder of Stoicism. That's the power of amor fati. When you embrace what life gives you, you unlock the strength to transform it. Final thoughts, here's the hard truth. No relationship can make you happy if you're not happy with yourself first. The Stoics knew this. They understood that the key to a fulfilling life and a fulfilling relationship isn't about finding the perfect partner. It's not about endless excitement. It's about inner peace. It's about accepting what you can't control and focusing your energy on what you can. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're tempted to look for happiness outside your relationship, ask yourself, what am I really looking for? Is it excitement, validation, freedom? And then ask, can I find that within myself? Because here's the truth. When you stop looking for someone else to complete you, that's when you finally feel whole. At the end of the day, the choices we make, whether it's staying faithful or seeking escape, come down to one thing: our ability to understand and control our own desires. Stoicism teaches us, we can't control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. And that is where true power lies. If this video made you think, subscribe, because understanding yourself is a journey, and I'll be here to walk that path with you.